I want to talk about Devin Werkheiser, and I want to talk about that live TikTok that I watched a little bit. And obviously, Drake Bell retweeted my tweet and retweeted the disgraceful snippet of Devin Werkheiser and Lindsay Shaw. With Drake, it was so epic. He said, "NEDS DECLASSIFIED. This is wild. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. Give me your holes." Really? Yeah, really?
Daniel, I told you.
Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
This is awful. Why are we doing this?
Because this is about us. Listen, our set was not like that. And no, it's awful. The Drake Bell is that's crazy to hear. That is, man. And that never came out, which is really wild. Really wild.
I'll tell you who was talking about it.
Thanks, Lindsay. We all know you're talking about me. You guys just don't change.
Okay. Oh, so y'all were in on it. Oh, God.
Damn.
Wow. I'm not talking about this anymore.
No.
Wow,
Not
just laughing away.
No.
Guys, we can't joke like this. Jeez.
So you see this, I think actually it comes very full circle, right? What Dan Schneider was talking about in his warped podcast show is, see how people can get in positions of power and where they start crossing lines and crossing boundaries and they turn things into just jokes, right? And it starts to like spiral and it can end up becoming harmful to those around them or near them. And by the way, Devin Werkheiser did apologize, but once again, it's a public apology, not a private one. Goes public. But what's sad about it is I even reached out privately for an apology from NEDS Declassified podcast when they called me crazy, and Lindsay Shaw literally hearted a comment that said I was psycho and said that I was not a relevant Nick star. I mean, wow, this is where we're at right now. How much better it would be if we were together. They actually rolled up to a protest, for example, and stood up for the survivors that bravely came forward about their stories. But no, instead they're laughing in some weird green room. I don't even know where they are. It's bizarre that whatever that room is, laughing and joking about child essay. Oh yeah, here it is. So sorry to Drake, gutted, I hurt you. Didn't look gutted when you were laughing up a storm, Devin. You've been like this forever too. By the way, come on. Now it's online and now we're like have social media. I was being an idiot today. No way around it. I feel horrible that my dumb ass was even speaking about this without seeing it. See that? See, that's the same type of energy when it comes to those that wrote letters defending Brian Peck. Remember Will and Ryder? How they said, if I knew the details. You see how what that energy is and what it implies and how it can be deemed as manipulative? Because it is. You don't need to know all the details about someone's child essay. Just knowing that somebody did what they did to a kid is enough, right? You don't need to know all the details to know where you stand. You need to know details to be a good human being? No, you don't. Face value, what you're being told should have been enough. With Devin Werkheiser, it's the same type of energy, which is now he's saying he just watched it tonight. Dude, there's been articles upon articles about Drake Bell and his ABUSC from Brian Peck prior to even the episode, and that's how you chose to behave. And also you're making money off the TikTok thing talking about Dan Schneider. Like the whole thing to me didn't feel right or didn't sit right with me. But I don't appreciate that sentence you said. Is that, oh, you watched it tonight. Oh, if you would have watched it before. Bullshit. That's just, I'm over it. I'm so tired of everyone like this. You know, you just get more and more gray hairs, I guess. Okay, wait, let's finish the statement. So, quiet on set tonight. I'm horrified by the gravity of what Drake and others shared. Truly heartbroken about what my fellow actors went through. I can't believe they weren't protected. I'm sorry for compounding any hurt. Yeah, Devin, but you also on your show, you know, called me crazy, said I was unhinged, didn't even talk about like anything accurately. You were talking about a very specific event that we won't name. And, you know, you misrepresented that. And I really hope you change. And I hope one day you do reach out to the people that you actually affected personally, and not everything is for show. I really hope that for you. It feels better. It is better. And you actually can end up being redeemable, you know, but this is not redeemable. That's exactly how I remember Devin Werkheiser. That's how I remember him when we were even younger. I remember him like that. I have a lot of memories looking back at parties that we would go to, and I remember him, just like I remember other people as well, obviously. But we're talking about Devin right now, right? I remember him and how he was and how he treated people around him, women, I mean, girls, I guess. But seeing how he made a joke, and there's no joke when it comes to trauma. We're talking about child SA, right? It's very serious. And him saying in the clip, for example, that he uses jokes or humor to get through something. This wasn't his trauma. This wasn't his trauma that he was sharing. So he doesn't have the privilege of that, right? But he thinks he does, but he doesn't. But to see him say what he said is exactly how I remember him. And how I remember all of the guys at Andrew Caldwell's apartment. All of them. Just awful. Not good guys, right? Not the best guys. What I would see happen at Andrew Caldwell's apartment. Anyways, I just went into a daze there a little bit. But seeing him, it didn't surprise me, but it really did trigger me.
Coming.
Daniel, I told you.
Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
This is awful. Why are we doing this?
Because this is about us. Listen, our set was not like that. And no, it's awful. The Drake Bell is that's crazy to hear. That is fucked, man. And that never came out, which is really wild.
You
really
are
wild.
so
About it.
okay.
Oh, so y'all were in on it. Oh, God.
Damn.
I'm not talking about this anymore.
No.
Not talking about this
No.
anymore.
No.
Guys, we can't joke like this. Jesus. Guys, we're sometimes humor helps us move through things, you know?
100%.
This is how it all comes full circle, is if we don't know how to be in community with one another, we're never going to change the world, really. Because yes, we can identify bad behavior outside of ourselves, but sometimes it's a lot harder to identify our own personal bad behavior and take accountability. And that might end up being the hardest thing to do. But that's where it really does start. And it's sad to watch that video because I feel like that's how they've been for a long time. This is how I remember Devin. This is how, you know, I'm sadly remembering Lindsay. I don't really understand like why you can't just apologize to me that my feelings were hurt about what you said. I don't think that's too much what I asked for, but I digress, or whatever the saying is. That wasn't okay. And that is why survivors don't come forward, for example, because people make that type of content, and not just that type of content, but friends, you know, for survivors outside of the industry without this type of platform will end up doing stuff at high school or middle school or whatever. This is just an amplified version of what most survivors deal with. And that's why it's so important for us to have survivors in mind when we're talking about them or we're talking about someone's trauma, that we keep them in mind and that we don't put ourselves, you know, first, that we think about them and we make sure that we're being mindful. I thought that was horrific what they did. And the 6 million views was well deserved, because I think we need to start taking a hard look at how we talk about trauma and how we talk about survivors and how we talk about child SA, and how we talk about SA and all of it. That definitely wasn't it.